Welcome, everyone, to a special bonus anniversary question and answer episode about a month and a half after our anniversary. Better late than never. 4 years we have been making this podcast.
4 years.
4 years. And dare I say, 4 more years.
Yeah.
So we decided to take some listener questions. We did this after our 1 year anniversary, and we have not done it since. Mm-hmm. So we thought it would be a fun time to sit down. Normally, you only get your 3 episodes a month. But we thought, why not? You've been good. Have a treat.
Have a treat. It's been a lot of fun. Have an episode
as a treat.
Yeah, might as well. It's been a lot of fun. These past 4 years, doing all sorts of amazing games with amazing guests, and we tend to be the ones that ask all the questions, and we get some wonderful answers from our guests. So we opened the forum to our listeners. And boy, you gave us a lot of questions.
A lot of things to think about, folks.
I know. So we have 56 questions in total. Mm-hmm. A few of them are going to be pretty easy to answer. A few are going to be a lot more thoughtful. There's some advice thrown in there. There's all sorts of good stuff to go through. So for our character creation cast 4-year anniversary, let's start it up.
Okay, we're going to start this question from listener Ryan.
Ryan is testing this form.
Ryan
what is this
testing this form. Who is this guy? Oh, weirdo. Ryan from Appleton, Wisconsin asks, how can I be as cool as you two? Well, Ryan, you can't.
Yeah.
Impossible.
I would say it's only possible if you are us two. So maybe.
So good job, Ryan. Good job being us.
Yeah.
Actually, so Ryan, that is the answer. How can you be as cool as us? Just be us. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. Thanks, Ryan, for the question. It's a weird answering myself in the third person, but you know what? Past Ryan, that one's for you.
It's great. That's great. Are you drinking Diet Dr. Pepper right now?
I am drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper right now.
So am I.
Oh, soda buddies.
I also had some Sprecher here too. But it's gone.
There you go.
It's gone now. So everyone, Sprecher root beer, official beverage of Character Creation Cast. Please call us. Please give me free Sprecher.
And Diet Dr. Pepper, because goodness gracious, I exist on that right now.
I love Diet Dr. Pepper. It's so good.
It's so good.
It's like the best diet soda.
It is the best diet soda because it uses cherry flavoring, which is one of the most potent flavorings you can have in a soda. And you don't need much of it to give you that nice flavor. But
it's not cherry the way like cherry Coke is. Because like I can drink cherry Coke Zero or something like that. But that's like cherry. And it's like starting to get into that cough syrup kind of thing. Yes. Whereas Dr. Pepper is like, it's just like a little hint of it, but it's still that cola feeling. You know, this is now an ad for Diet Dr. Pepper. It also like doesn't taste as like diet as most of the other diet sodas, I think.
Yeah.
But without the like syrupy, gross mouth feeling of regular soda.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. It's delicious. It's not as like artificial tasting as most other diet sodas, and it's diet. And you know what? That's how you become as cool as us. Drink.
Right. There you go. Drink some Diet Dr. Pepper. Right. So start a podcast. Don't know anything about your co-host before you start a podcast with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Just like
just trust.
Just randomly trust a stranger on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. This has become an impossible. Do not.
That's not cool. That's scary.
That is scary.
So scary. Yeah, I guess just drink Dr. Pepper.
There you go.
Start a podcast.
How about we get into the actual questions?
Okay. All right.
I know I'm a listener of the show as well. I'm not only a fan, I'm a co-host.
Many-time listener, first-time caller.
Uh-huh. All right. So I guess we can just go back and forth with who reads these, huh?
Sure. I'll do the even numbered one so yours was listed as number 2, like shows up as number 2.
I know.
In there. So it's even. So I'll do even number ones.
You'll do the even rows. I'll do the odd rows.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Our first real question came in from Kevin. And Kevin asked if you could gain magical powers, but only if you played a year-long campaign of the worst game showcased on the show, would you do it? Have to play 1 4-hour game every week for a year. Wow, that sounds amazing, actually. Bonus, what power would you gain if it had to be based on that game system? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so worst game that we've covered.
So I made a note on this question and I wrote, they would have to be pretty great magical powers for me to consider playing Marvel superheroes every single week, or the people I was playing with would have to be like fantastic. It would have to be like the kind of people that make playing a game like that okay.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't stipulate that they have to be people that you don't get along with.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like really, I feel like I can tolerate a lot of things in the name of that like fellowship kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Which when we did that episode, you determined was one of your top kinds anyway, that like that's a lot of what you're there for.
Absolutely.
I'm not as high on that scale. But I definitely, you know, for a chance to hang out with my friends, I'm willing to put up with a lot.
I mean, honestly,
especially if I get like, magical powers too, honestly.
Yeah, seriously.
Like that's a pretty good trade-off.
This is a really good deal, honestly. Okay, so if you can tell amazing stories in Dungeons and Dragons, which doesn't have a mechanical system to tell amazing stories in it.
Right.
You can do that in Marvel superheroes from 1984/86.
Right.
I would be 100% okay with making a wacky character in Marvel superheroes and like, you know, playing the heck out of it and like hamming up the drama and, you know, doing all that sort of fun stuff. And maybe I would even throw in betrayals for you, Amelia.
Wow. For me?
Just for you.
Wow. A little light backstabbing.
A little light backstabbing. It's fine. But yeah, doing that for a whole year, that'd be fine. What sort of magical powers? I mean, goodness, you're talking about literally any superpower in the world. That's hard to wrap my head around because like,
but it says if it has to be based on the game system you played.
Yes.
Right. So like in my head, I'm thinking right now, like Marvel superheroes is fresh in my mind and it's top on my list. But like that doesn't really help answer what kind of magical powers it would be, unless it was a power to like be really good at math, maybe. Like if I could be like a number genius.
Oh, yeah. It would be hyper intelligence, right?
I mean, maybe, but like with numbers, because like you can be hyper intelligent in a lot of different ways.
I mean, that's fair too. Yeah. Goodness.
So yeah, I mean, I think if it was the superpower to be good at math, but then like also I wouldn't hate that game as much if I was good at math. It's part of why I hate it is because I'm not good at math and math is not fun for me.
Well, that's the thing is you have to suffer through it to get the powers.
Oh, okay. So like it won't be until the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I mean, I feel like the power to be really good at math would be like something I earned through that trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness, I've got a lot of answers for this.
Of course you do.
Like teleportation would be phenomenal because 0 travel time.
Right. Well, like I can think of lots of magical powers I would love to have, but are they based on the game?
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, technically in Marvel superheroes you could have anything, but that feels like cheating.
It kind of does, but it's within the spirit of the question, right?
I guess.
Okay.
I feel like mine was more in the spirit of the question than like teleportation, because then like any game I would be like, well, it's the power to play with my friends. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, teleportation would always be the answer.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, something a little bit more nuanced. I don't know if I could do like the whole I don't know, I would almost have to do like a magical transformation sequence, like shape changing, I guess, or whatever it's whatever I rolled up weirdly would be really interesting. Just because then I could be like the ultimate cosplayer. Yeah. That'd be fun.
You just like have like a magical form, like a alternate form. or something, however you want to.
Yeah, with built-in super costume. I don't know.
Yeah. But you don't have any superpowers except changing into that costume. You're like your power is to shift into that costume, but then like once you're in it, it's like, crap, what now?
What happens? That's true. That's true. I guess it would take a little bit more thought then to figure out what sort of magical power I would need to obtain. I guess.
I'm guessing there's more magical girl questions later on, though, so maybe we can come back to that.
Probably. I'll save it for that.
I'm sure that.
I guess I would probably choose the one where you can create whatever matter you want in the world and then solve, like, scarcity and world hunger.
Oh, sure. Just collapse the economy. No big.
It doesn't matter. The economy wouldn't matter at that point. Everybody's accounted for. It's fine.
That's right. That's true.
What do I care if capitalists suffer?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So our next question is from Caleb, who says, have you ever considered doing a character build of a LARP? If no, that's okay. If yes, may I suggest mistwood.org? Have we ever considered doing a character build of a LARP? Yeah. I would say like casually. I think that's something that we've been like, oh, that might be interesting.
To cover a LARP, yeah.
Yeah, I think our big thing is that we are not really like in those circles, right? So a lot of the games we pick are things that we've seen pop up on our Twitter timelines, or we've read for something else. I know a couple that we've covered in the last year were things that I found while I was doing my Ennies reading. A few things that we will cover after July when I'm done reading will be things that I found in my Ennies reading this year. Or, people who have approached us and said, hey, I have this game coming out. Would you be willing to cover it? Yes. So a lot of the games are kind of chosen because those are the circles that we move in and the things that we personally are interested in. So it's definitely not because we don't think LARP is cool. I think it's just, for me, it's a lack of like, I don't know where to start or like who to talk to or what to do.
We know a couple people in this sphere. I know, what was it? Alex Roberts started in that kind of sphere. And so there's some people we could probably reach out to for that.
I think it also is going to depend strongly on the LARP and like what that looks like and stuff too, because it is, because it has that live action aspect to it, which I know is more the play than the character creation in a lot of ways, but we are still an audio medium. Yeah. So if there are some kind of limits there too.
I think we could probably put ourselves in the right headspace for it, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it's just been more like a lack of like knowledge of like what I'm even looking at or where to look for it. It's just like these are the things I'm all about, like the bright shiny object too. Because I've got all kinds of ADHD, and so like it's like, ooh, look at this new thing, And I think so even sometimes when I'm like, oh, LARP would be a good idea. And then like a new RPG comes across my desk and I'm like, but what about this? It's whatever's the last book I saw, honestly, is like what we're going to cover. Like, what is the last book I looked at? Is it the best method? No. Has it worked so far? You bet.
Well, right. And honestly, we only get 12 series a year, right?
Right. That's the other thing too, is I know we talked in our episode 0 about like our list of 200 some RPGs, and like we've not even made a dent in that. Not even close. Because we've covered so many things that weren't on that list on top of the ones that were. And all these people, all these nerds out there keep writing new games. Ridiculous.
It's true. Honestly, if a good LARP comes across our desk, we'll consider covering it. And we've got a suggestion for mistwood.org. I'm curious. We'll check it out. We'll see what we can do if we can make it fit, and we'll see what we can do from there. Maybe year 5 is the year we cover a LARP. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I'm interested in. I'm very curious about it. And we try to vary our series enough so that we aren't covering the same sorts of systems all the time. We try to kind of go back and forth between like crunchy and rules light and new and old. And, I know like obviously this last month was like an old one and then like a slightly less old one. Yep. Like, but that was because because it was series 50. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, we do try to kind of change it up and Mm.
and mix things in there so that there's a little something for everybody.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd like to. So I think the answer is yes, we've considered it. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the question, Caleb. So this next question comes from the Dark Fiddler. They asked, is there any game you've really wanted to cover, but just haven't been able to make work yet? Short answer, yes, obviously. Too many, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely lots of games because, like I said, we had our list of like 235 or something that, granted, those are the ones other people had suggested. So there were some on there that I was like, I don't know what this is, which obviously is not a reason that we wouldn't cover it because you can hear in our Masks episode where I go, so explain to me what a playbook is.
Yep.
Because I had not played any PBTA at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously now that's become a pretty regular part of our vocabulary. But yeah, so not knowing what a game is certainly has never stopped us before.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there are some holes. There are some that we haven't covered because of like the politics around them. Like we haven't covered any White Wolf games.
Yep.
For reasons.
I've been thinking about those
because
like
I really
on
would.
and off.
I do feel like that's a hole sort of in our oeuvre, I guess.
Our repertoire.
Yeah, our repertoire. There you go. Because, you know, we talk a lot about like the way, especially when we have Jeff and John on, about like the way games kind of split from that, like, okay, things went the Palladium way, and then, you know, there was the Vampire the Masquerade way.
Yeah.
You know, that like things kind of split off and it could have been either or.
Yep.
And so I really do, you know, I want to cover some of those like D10 based systems. You know, we had early on a number of people that offered to cover some of those games with us, and I still would like to. I think that's a thing that like we have to kind of, unfortunately, the industry being the way it is, and people being how people be, we have to kind of continually assess like what our comfort level is with the politics of things around that. So for me, while I do feel a little bad being like, yeah, I want to cover some White Wolf games, because they're not great. But I do, like from a sort of historical standpoint or a completionist standpoint, I do think that there's still a lot to learn from those games, even if the companies making them don't have good business practices.
Right.
You know,
or
so it's like I still want to talk about
problematic,
like, right. I still want to talk about the impact that they have had on the world of design and the way we make games and how we play them and what we, you know, look for in games and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely for me, I think that's kind of where my mind sort of immediately goes, is like that feels like a hole in our catalog that I really would like to find a way to do something about. So we'll see. You know, maybe in the future we'll do something with like a really big caveat at the beginning, or you know, I don't know how we'll do it. Because I really want to be able to do the comparative analysis there, like from not a promotional of like everybody should go play this game, but like here's what we've learned from what these games have brought to the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from that too. And honestly, we kind of just did that with Series 50 with D&D and all the wacky supplements that we threw at it. And it was a thought exercise, and it had some really fantastic you know, conversation that surrounded all of that. Yeah. And I think we could get the same sort of thing with any of the White Wolf games. Yeah. With the right guests. So, yeah, I think we could definitely cover that. We just wanted to be a little bit more cautious surrounding it because of all the controversy in the past. There's a couple other games like that have been huge impacts on the industry that, you know, we've got them on our list. They're on our, like, you know, maybe someday we'll cover these, but we're not like super enthused on diving in right away, simply because, you know, of some of the problematic nature within the game itself, or the company, or the people behind the game, you know? Yeah.
And I want to say, like, from a standpoint of like being a creator, putting things out into the world, it's really frustrating sometimes because there's things that I want to talk about, and there's things there that I think are helpful and cool, but I also like am a person with a platform. right? Like people listen to the things that I say, you know, whoever's listening to this episode right now is listening to the things that I say. Whether you take me seriously or not is up to you.
Right.
But I don't want to promote things that I know are problematic or, you know, companies that, or people that have hurt people or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like it is a responsibility that I take seriously. That being said, I still get frustrated because it's like, I want to be able to do, like, just let me like the thing. Right. Can people stop being crappy so that I can just like the things that I like without having to like, you know, like I don't want to have to do a full like research dive before we cover things, you know, and it's unfortunately like the older a game is, like the more research we have to do before we can feel comfortable covering it and making sure that we have the right people talking about it and all that kind of
exhausting,
stuff.
Right?
Yeah, it is. Especially when you're, you know, like a hobbyist. And the way things are, unfortunately, in the RPG industry too, is like, you don't always know. None of this is really answering the question of like, what game we really want to cover. But it is a little, you know, like I said, a little peek behind the curtain of like, unfortunately, this industry sucks sometimes. And, yeah, I think there's a lot that we would like to cover if people didn't suck. And I always have this like nagging fear of like doing the wrong thing. Because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. Absolutely. And I take it very seriously. And, you know, like I know that you're the same. You don't want to hurt anybody. And so we want to make sure that our decisions are sound. But unfortunately, this industry just like makes it really hard because so much stuff is word of mouth. And
it does,
you know,
and honestly, pretty much any fandom is going to be kind of that way, right? Like if you're doing a podcast that has guests on it, you're going to run into that every now and then. Right. And we just try our best. We do our due diligence as much as we can. Yeah. And, you know, if something slips through the cracks,
we'll fix it from there. Yeah. I mean, I definitely, you know, like don't want to be like, okay, we're like totally afraid to do anything ever. And like, you know, because it's not that. But I do think it's something that we don't just like take casually, that it's not like, well, we'll have somebody on. And if it turns out bad, it turns out bad. You know, it's like, no, like we try, and we want to feature games that are good and help people. And
absolutely.
Whew, boy, is that sometimes hard with those older ones.
But I mean, Jeff and John make it easy, so. They
do, because they're very quick to be like, here's why it's bad. And like, great. Awesome.
Absolutely. And it's fun to look at games that way.
It is. It is.
So, I mean, that's part of my answer to this question.
Yeah, well. Sorry, I took up like a lot of time with that.
But on a more positive note, the system that I've been like chomping at the bit to cover because I don't know hardly anything about it, and people keep talking about it, Lumen, and we just can't right now, but eventually, goodness gracious, we'll get there.
As I said, after July, we're gonna have a whole lot of things on the list.
Exactly. Yeah. So. It'll be a lot of fun to figure out what that system's all about. I've been very curious about it since I heard people talking about it. And we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that's like the answer for a lot of our stuff too, though, because as you said, we can only do 12 a year.
Yeah, so it's like we're only the two people.
Throw it on the pile.
I know.
Yep.
All right.
So to answer that question, Dark Fiddler. There are lots of games that we would love to cover. Some that we haven't covered because they're problematic. Some that we can't cover because Amelia's under an NDA. Some that we just, like, there are only so many hours in the day.
Absolutely.
But we'll get to the ones we can when we can.
We will. And it'll be fun. Stay tuned. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah. So now you have to keep listening is really the answer to that question.
Yes.
Like, listen along and find out.
There you go.
Okay, so character creation is the best part of role-playing games. Indisputable. I like that you put a period at the end of that sentence. That was not a question. What is the worst part? This one is from Danny, who, this was like the 5th question that Danny wrote. So Danny wrote that it was from Steve. JK, it's Danny again. So
yeah, we randomized all the questions to out of fairness. We thought we would just randomize them so that way, like if we had to split up the episodes, you know, it'd be not everybody would just be having their 10 questions in a row.
Right. So we wouldn't have a full Danny episode.
Exactly. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So what is the worst part for you, Ryan?
The worst part of role-playing games, well, scheduling to actually play the games is pretty bad. As an adult, as an adult with a family, scheduling is a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, that's bad in the day-to-day, like, I need to experience playing role-playing games, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't write scheduling. I don't know how I missed that one.
Yeah. I would say the worst part.
But maybe
of
because that's like
games,
not part of role-playing. Like that's like, you don't even get to role-play if you can't do the scheduling.
I guess that's true. Okay. So the worst part of actually playing role-playing games, that's a very interesting twist on the question. Okay. I would say then it would have to be, gosh, you know, I'll let you go first, and then I'll see
if all parts of games are good.
All parts of games are fun.
I'm Ryan, and I just love games.
I just love it all.
I just love it so much.
I love all the math. I love all the role play. I love all the story. On my list.
Okay, so number 1, making choices of how to spend my XP. Anything that has XP spends where I have to decide when leveling up what thing I'm going to take or not take, or what skills I'm going to buy or not buy, I have a very difficult time with. Because analysis paralysis is real. And when you're playing a game, unlike when we're making characters, these choices do, in fact, have consequences. Yeah. So I find it very difficult.
So this is definitely where we differ, because I'm like, yes, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Oh, right. Like, I love the idea of like getting new things. Yeah. Like this is the two sides of the ADHD coin, right? Of like, ooh, I love the new shiny thing I can do. Oh, you mean I have to pick only one shiny thing? That's really difficult. That
is difficult.
Number 2, managing encumbrance rules or spell slots. Spell slots, I said. That's you heard me correctly. Spell slots. Because related to number 3, Ryan's going to laugh at me because I can't make the number 3. Number 3, math. Yeah. I don't like inventory management at all. I don't like it in video games. I don't like it in role-playing games. When I played Fallout 4, I picked up everything. I opened every box and I picked up everything. Oh yeah, same. And then when my inventory was too full, I would like carefully like pick the smallest amount of stuff that I could put down. And then I would go back and I would craft a bunch of stuff. And then like, you know, like dump everything into my toolbox or wherever you could hold things. Because I don't like to get rid of things. And, you know, like I'm playing Borderlands and Wonderlands right now too. And like my backpack is constantly full because it's like, I know that I don't need 4 sniper rifles, but like, what if I do? What if we come across that one situation where I do? Yeah. 99 health potions or nothing. Surprisingly, my house is not like that. I am not a hoarder in my real life. Like in my real life, I'm a serial purger of things. I'm like, get this crap out of my space if I have to look at it. But in a video game, it like goes in your backpack and you don't see it. Yep. And then I can just keep it forever. Yeah. So exactly. I don't like that. And then when I played L5R, I played, you know, a magic user and I had to like keep track of spell slots. And it's like my notes for every game is like little tally marks in the corner of like how many void spells did I use today? Like, no, just let me have fun. Just let me do the thing without having to do the math. Yes. Or like make difficult decisions about what cool things I can have. Like, that's really what it comes down to. All of my answers are like, don't make me decide which cool things I can have. Let me have all the cool things. Right. Exactly. Which I know is like not really how games work because like that's wholly unbalanced. Yeah. But really like just let me have all the cool things. I don't understand why I can't just have everything that I want. Exactly. When I want it. Not? Why not? Exactly. So those are my answers. I think the probably the worst part is the stuff that takes away player agency. Ooh. That's going to be my answer for this one. Just because like it
smells awfully a lot of the old antagonist GM trope, right? And that's annoying in and of itself, right? I don't like it when...
Do you think that there are people out there that are like, I like that dynamic?
There
are people that I'm like, I
guarantee it.
I'm a bottom and I'm into that.
Yes. In certain words, yes.
You're like, I wouldn't put it that way, but I mean, because like I'm not into that, but like,
right. And honestly, I mean, I can see it from both the GM and the player standpoint of. I mean,
I totally see it from the GM standpoint of being like,
absolutely.
That's like a sweet power trip,
right?
Like, you know,
but having that power dynamic and then like taking away player agency kind of is just kind of gross.
It skeeves me out.
It does. It's because it's like, okay, you're telling me exactly what's happening to my character, that the only thing that I'm quote unquote allowed to control in this entire world.
Right. And something that like we all very honestly and openly like put part of ourselves into. Like that's what role playing is like I am inhabiting that thing.
Yeah.
And to like take away some of that is, you know,
without consent.
Right.
I guess.
Right. There are times where, you know, I think in our D&D episodes, which people will hear now, I think Dylan talked about that, about like, you know, instead of killing the player, like say like, okay, fine, but I get control of your character at some point. And when people buy into that, that's great.
Absolutely.
But like, yeah, anytime that there's like, oh, like mind control and like, blah, blah.
Yep. Yeah. Get rid of that icky stuff and good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This next one is from Anonymous. We do not have a name on this one. So if this is your question,
thank you.
Congratulations and thank you. Are there any dense or crunchy systems you want to make a character in? Playing is, of course, not required. Yes. I mean, for the show, yes.
Yeah.
I really want to cover riffs just because of that.
I thought you were going to like say something like new and interesting, like a cool new game that was crunchy that you heard about or something. Like, no, I mean, it was just riffs again.
I do.
Dear audience, I was fooled. I thought maybe we were going in a different direction this one time.
Nope.
But after 4 years, I should have learned. Fool me once, Ryan.
Yep. No, a more serious answer, not that Rifts isn't serious. The new Marvel game, I keep hearing it's bad. I keep hearing it's like super, super crunchy. I really want to know why it's bad. And that's why I want to create a character for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one, like, I really want to reserve judgment on it because it is just a playtest document at this point.
Yeah.
And I've read some playtests of games, and I know that, like, the point of a playtest is to put it out in the world, have more people touch it, and say, this thing did not work at my table. Like, your theory is not practice. And so I want to reserve judgment, but I also am like, are you going to rewrite that game then? Because like,
yeah,
I don't know what you say. Like, you like develop this like whole new like 6-1-6 mechanic where actually one of the dice just has 2 6s. That's what the 6-1-6 thing. Like the 1 and the 6 are the same. And it just is. I don't know. I'm really torn on it because like, I haven't, in all honesty, read the playtest document yet. I'm just like picking up what I can here and there. And I think I don't know if it's trying to walk this line, but it is walking this line between like, hey, you loved Marvel games? Hey, you like games?
Yeah.
Because those crowds are not the same necessarily.
Right.
Right. You know, like the D&D crowd is not the same people that are like playing Marvel superheroes all the time. And it feels like it's trying to bridge that gap between like, you remember really super crunchy Marvel. Here's also Marvel. And people who are like, oh, you love games? Look, we made a Marvel one of those.
Yes.
And I don't know that it's doing that successfully. Or coherently. So, yeah, I mean, I really want to see what they do with the feedback that people give them.
Yeah.
Because it feels very unfinished. I mean, it's playtest. It's playtest.
Yeah. if they can treat it like a playtest and actually take to heart the suggestions and fixes that people are suggesting and actually fix the issues with the system for the full release, I'm 100% for that. I mean, even if that requires revamping the entire mechanical system for
Look, we completely reanimated Sonic in that first movie. We can rewrite again.
Exactly. Get rid of those teeth. It's fine.
That's what, you know what? Hey, everyone out there who is writing a playtest document, if you get some feedback and you don't love it, just remember, you too can take away the teeth.
Exactly.
That's the lesson here. I want to think that, you know, like, again, that's what a playtest is for, right? That's why you do it, because otherwise they just like put it out and be like, ta-da. Yeah. On the other hand, it's not a small developer making a game. It's Marvel. Right. And, you know, granted, they've brought in games people to do that. But an entity like Marvel does not pivot. Like, they don't... I'm pivoting, everyone. You can't see it. But so I just wonder, you know, like, will they be able to move? How many cooks are in the kitchen on this one? Yep. How many, you know, like, how easily can they integrate any, you know, potential changes? So I guess this will be a fun one to watch, I think, honestly, because we don't always get the playtest and get to see what that, like, initial rough draft looked like. Right. And I think the chance to compare it to whatever the final draft is will be kind of an interesting exercise for game designers in general to see, like, you know, hey, what your final product is. It doesn't have to, like, you don't have to get it right on the first try. You just don't. So, I mean, I look at the first version of Chimera, and boy, howdy, is it different than what it is now. And like, I had all sorts of things in there that were just, this is what games are, right? Right. And my goodness, it was crunchy for a PBTA game, and it was just clunky, and it didn't fully work mechanically. Conceptually, it was fine, and that's what we held on to. But yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of playtesting too, is like, you know, you get it in front of people and it's like, okay, we were able to play this game without any of these pieces. Yes. Chuck them out, you know, like you start with something that's really bulky and clunky, and, you know, like you sit down to run it and you realize, like, okay, this, like, we don't even need this. We didn't even look at that page. Like, gone. None of this is answering the question that this listener has asked us about crunchy systems. This is just our hot takes on playtesting at this point. Yeah. I don't know that I have one off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of ones that I've read recently, and it feels like a lot of the newer games are not as crunchy. They're not. No. No, and I don't know that even like the crunchier ones that I've read are ones that, like, the character creation was particularly, like, interesting or innovative. Right. Because that's, you know, that's really the sort of lens that I'm looking at this through, is like, there are certainly, like, crunchy games that are doing cool new things that I'm kind of interested in trying out, but I don't know that the character creation itself was the part that piqued my interest. Yep. Yeah, no, not off the top of my head. They're just not my thing because there's so much math. Too much math. See previous question. Too many choices. Too many, you know, it's... Yep. There's a time and a place, and it's over there, far from me. Exactly. Yeah. Unless you get superpowers with hyper math powers. Right, right. Unless I play that year-long Marvel game. There you go. Tying it all together. Yeah. Our next question is from name redacted for my protection. It's don't tell anybody. Too late, Danny. I told everyone it was from you. No. Oh, no. I can't. We just read them verbatim. What are you doing? I can't be trusted. Ryan, when you edit this, can you just put a little beep in there or something? When I said, sure. I'll see what I can do. I said the name. But then leave it in the 3 other times after that I said Danny. Just bleep it the first time. I'll just bleep it the first time. And then leave in this whole discussion of whether you should bleep it. Absolutely. That's editing. What are your most divisive food opinions? For example, I enjoy Hawaiian pizza, and I think mayonnaise ruins everything it touches. Get out of here, Danny. Mayonnaise is the perfect sandwich lubricant. I believe that there is audio of Ryan and I discussing the mayonnaise versus Miracle Whip argument somewhere. I am hardcore team mayonnaise. I don't need that tanginess anywhere on my food.
I understand that. Okay, so here's my hot take.
Okay.
Miracle Whip's better, but
garbage.
Mayonnaise is not garbage.
Oh.
Okay.
So interesting. In classic Ryan fashion, where everyone takes a side, Ryan has found a way to not take a side. That might be like the most Ryan statement I've ever heard. I prefer Miracle Whip, but I still like mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Pick a team, Ryan.
I wouldn't say I like mayonnaise.
Okay.
I tolerate it.
Okay.
There is a distinct difference there.
That's fair.
I heavily prefer Miracle Whip. Mayonnaise has that weird, like slurpy texture when you first get it out of the jar.
Miracle Whip isn't slurpy?
No, it's smooth.
No, it still takes the shape. Like, it still doesn't, like, stick to the sides of the bottle. It's still, like, the same,
I get that, but when you
gloopy nonsense. It's an emulsion.
It's smooth. It's nice and smooth. I've never seen a jar of Miracle Whip that wasn't smooth, whereas mayonnaise was like, just like scooping out, like tapioca pudding.
No, because it's not like, because like tapioca has like little chunks in it, and mayonnaise doesn't.
No, I mean, aside from the chunks, it's still got that like you leave an imprint of what you're scooping. I don't know what's not smooth
about like a sort of puddingy texture. What's not smooth about that?
I don't know. Am I getting the wrong mayo? Because like the mayo that I have seen fresh out of the jar, maybe not the stuff that you've already mixed and stuff, fresh out of the jar, that first scoop is just like. And
okay, do you stir your Greek yogurt too when you open it?
I don't eat Greek yogurt, so I don't know.
See, there's your problem. I don't even know.
Are you supposed to stir mayo before you use it?
I don't know. I can't say that I've ever really thought too hard about it, Ryan.
I guess. All right.
But I've never had unsmooth mayo. Like,
my most divisive food opinion then apparently is the texture of mayo.
That it's not smooth. I just like, you can have all the opinions in the world that you want about mayonnaise, but like, it is smooth.
It's smoothish, yeah.
No, it's smooth. I'm really concerned about this like chunky mayonnaise you're eating.
It's not chunky. It's not okay.
I just don't understand the words you're saying.
Maybe I'm not explaining it correctly. All I know is I have a problem with it. People might know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure. It doesn't ruin everything it touches. Sorry, Danny, but it's still not the greatest, in my opinion. I don't know.
I think my divisive opinion is that I actually don't have a hot take about Hawaiian pizza. Like, everybody's like, it's so great. Like, it's the best thing ever. Or, I totally hate it. And I'm like, I'm allergic to pineapples. So, I still eat them anyway sometimes because they're good. They just make my tongue kind of itchy. Which, fun fact, I just thought that happened to everybody until I was like 25-ish, maybe like 20, 25, somewhere in there. And my sister was like, Mom, you know how like when you eat pineapple and your tongue gets really itchy? And my mom's like, no. And I was like, yeah, no, it totally does. And she was like, yeah, your tongue gets really itchy, but then like, you know, like later it gets better. But like, you know, and I was like, yeah, because of like the acid in the pineapple. My mom's like, no, that's an allergic reaction. I just assumed it made everybody's tongues itchy.
I mean, I guess. I get that way with bananas too sometimes, but I still eat them.
Yeah, because they're delicious, right? Like, you just like not eat food because you're allergic to it. Come on. Suck it up, peanut people.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, that's the story of how Amelia didn't know what an allergy was until she was like 25.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I don't have a hot take on Hawaiian pizza because I just don't eat it very often. I don't know. Do I have other food opinions that people would think were weird?
Yeah.
And I think most of them are just, you know, sort of like which side you fall on the, like, is ranch dressing delicious or not?
Right. That's another,
you know, like, do you like
right?
Coke or Pepsi? Or do you like, I think most of mine are kind of like that. Like, oh, I don't like eggs.
You don't like eggs?
I don't like eggs.
Like any way, shape, or form of eggs?
Hard-boiled eggs are okay.
Interesting. My wife is 100% the opposite of scrambled eggs. 100%. Any other variety of eggs where the egg white is remotely a part of it? No.
Yeah. See, I won't just like eat a hard-boiled egg. Like if it's in a salad or something, that's fine. And I like deviled eggs.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, this is going to sound really dumb considering I just said I liked hard-boiled eggs, but like it's too rubbery.
Okay. I can understand that.
Because it's a different kind, like it's like soft, but like liquidy,
Different
but like
kind of
not,
rubber.
but like, it's just, I have sensory processing issues. And so like food texture is a thing for me. Like I don't eat bananas because I just can't like the banana texture. In a smoothie, totally fine. But yeah, I just eggs,
Same
you
with
know, because
eggs.
everybody's like, well, what if you get them like over easy or eggs Benedict and I'm like,
don't even try.
Don't put them on the plate. Just don't.
All right, there you go.
Just don't.
I mean, you don't like eggs unless they're
occasionally an omelet will be okay because there's enough other stuff in there to distract from the eggs.
That makes sense.
Then it's just like a weird egg tortilla.
Yeah. Plus eggs baked in things.
Like it's it's not like in a cake or something. Like it's a problem.
That's along the same lines.
If there's enough other stuff piled in there to not notice the eggs, then I can handle it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just like a salad. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting to know you a little better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, cilantro is the devil. Okay, moving on.
No, that's another one of those though, right? That like it's like you're 50-50. Like, do you like Miracle Whip or mayonnaise, chocolate, vanilla? Cilantro is soap or it's amazing. I think it's amazing. I love it. Yeah. And my ex-husband and my children fall into that group of people that think it tastes like soap. And so I never get to have it in anything. Unless I just I sprinkle it like on my tacos after I make everything because
you have to at that point.
I won't eat it. Yeah.
We just got a cilantro plant, and my kids like cilantro. My wife likes cilantro. So like we've got this whole thing, and
I feel really bummed for people that like it tastes like soap because that one isn't like just like an opinion, you know, like it is a genetic that like it just doesn't taste right to you. And it's a bummer because it's like, oh, if it tasted to you like it tastes to me, it's really delicious. Yeah. Like it's really good, but I get that it doesn't taste that way to you. And it's not a preference thing. It's
anything it touches becomes cilantro. Like no matter what amount you have in there, you get a little piece of cilantro with a bite, and the whole bite is cilantro. Yeah. So
it's not one of those that's easily hidden. I think. Yeah. Like that's strong.
My food hot take.
All right.
Probably the most important question next.
Yeah, the one that you've all been waiting for. Absolutely.
Of course, this one is from Jude. What system would it be easiest to make a Ninja Turtle in?
I'm going to go ahead and say the Ninja Turtle supplement for refs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's its own RPG series.
Well, it's that system, right? It's the Palladium
TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangenesses, I believe is the full title.
Okay, well, but here's the question, right? Is like, he doesn't ask like which system is like best or like meant to make an Ninja Turtle, which is the easiest. So actually, now that I'm thinking about that, is it the easiest?
Is it the easiest? Maybe because
you're just randomly rolling, right?
You've got the martial arts, right? And you've got the mutant animals built into the system, right? So you just pick your turtle, you pick how much of the animalistic form you want for your character, and then you pick the abilities and stuff, and there you go. You give them like the martial arts hand-to-hand combat abilities, and it practically writes itself at that point.
Hold on, I'm gonna grab 2 books off my shelf here and just look at them real quick.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is out of print. Palladium lost the rights, I believe, to it. They did. And they transferred all of that, A, to Heroes Unlimited, and B, to the After the Bomb role-playing game, which gives you all sorts of mutant animals that you can be, which is interesting. Very curious what game you're looking at.
I am looking at, currently, a game called Mutants in the Now.
Oh, interesting.
It is a new game, which I have not finished reading yet to know like what kind of system and stuff it uses. But it is specifically for recreating retro modern mutant animal role-playing game.
Oh, very cool.
And looking at the character creation section, just briefly, dear listeners, I have not finished reading the whole book yet. It does look like this would be much easier than any Palladium game. So I'm going to go ahead and say this game by JK Games, Mutants in the Now. And I've read like good things about it.
Yeah.
So
honestly, Masks would be a very easy game to make the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in teenagers baked into the system.
Yeah.
B, superheroes, which is what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are. And C, you have like full control over what your characters look like.
Yeah.
So it's like, you could just say, yeah, I'm a mutant turtle. And one of my powers is ninja or whatever that means.
Yeah.
And you can flavor them however you want. It's PBTA. That might be the easiest since I know nothing about the game you're looking at.
This one does have random tables for like deciding what kind of animal you're going to be.
Oh, that's nice.
And then some optional ones if you want to like flavor it a little bit.
There you go.
And then you can pick your mutations.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of info on all of the animals.
Ooh.
So yeah, if you don't want to play a Palladium game, you do still want something with some random tables. But something a little more modern. I would say Mutants in the Now.
There you go.
Otherwise, I do have this game called BDSM, Below Dwelling Sewer Mutants.
Oh.
Which is it's a zine style game. This one is a little more grim, a little more emphasis on the mutation part of the mutant. Not so much the like crime fighting friendship part.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Those are some other options if you wanted to. And I'm sure there are plenty of other games to play mutants in, but
I appreciate your professionalism with answering this question.
Yes. Yeah. So take that, Jude. You thought that you could troll me, but the answer is we can name at least 3 to 4. You could probably do it in Sentinels too, honestly, if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah. I would say we've got a good 6 options on the table right now.
Yeah. So take that, man.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the best or most unique thing you've ever seen in an RPG book or PDF? And what is the worst? Oh, man.
This is from Daryl.
From Daryl. Yes. Sorry, Daryl. My mind was wandering already to what cool things I've seen in books.
Yeah.
I've read so many books.
Yeah, you've got a very unique perspective on this sort of question that I'm sure a lot of it's jumbled together at this point.
Yeah, our listeners can't see the pile behind me of books. That's this year's physical submissions. Gosh.
Best or most unique. Interesting.
I'm gonna have to really
I'd say probably the worst. Man, I don't know. Gosh. Even that's not the worst. I'm thinking the rolling table in the back of Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, I mean, so like this is one of those times where it's like define worst, right? Are we talking about like the worst like mechanics? Why like this is stupid? Or are we talking worst like this is like a really bad thing?
Right.
Because definitely I've read some books that have some like really bad things in them.
Oh yeah. I would say so just
let's not touch those. Like those things that are like actively problematic. I've seen a lot, and I'm not gonna like list which ones are the worst.
Right.
Like just bad mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say. And
I think for me, it's a lot of times where like I read a game and I think that like the designers are really well intentioned and probably had like a really good idea. But for me, the worst thing is when I can't follow how you got from A to B.
Yeah.
Because I just want to be like, take me on the journey with you. Like, because it'll be like, okay, step 1, do this. And then step 4 is like, with the 5 tokens that you've set out in front of you. I'm like, wait, we have tokens now? Where did those come from? Like, so for me, it's just really like, and there's a balance to be had between like, okay, like open the jar of peanut butter with your right hand, hold the knife and put the knife into the jar. Like I don't, like I'm not a child, but sometimes I'm like, wait, where did this card come from? Like, what how did that get on the table? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So for me, that's that's always the worst because I get frustrated and I like reread the same thing 6 times. And I'm like, am I stupid? Did you miss something? Do other people understand this?
Right.
And it's, yeah, for me, that's the worst because it's not bad. It's not actively bad. And it's like, there probably are people that this isn't a problem for. It's just that like, like the rest of your game is good. I just don't understand how to play it.
Right.
Like, I think you're onto something, but I'm not there with you.
No, I get that. Absolutely. What about one of the best things or most unique things?
Yeah, I'm really trying to like.
There's a lot, right? I mean, my answer for this would be the mechanics of Starcrossed, like directly giving you those feelings, real life feelings.
That is probably the place where my fascination with that interaction came from.
Yeah.
Because it's something to this point where I've become obsessed with it. It is what I look for in good game design. It is why I'm so insistent that you can't run everything in 5e.
Yeah.
Because your mechanics should reinforce how you want a game to feel. Like doing the thing should make you feel a way. Yeah. And I think that is the game where that really cemented that interaction for me. That was like, you can do, like, they really do connect. Because before that, I hadn't felt that connection. So actually, I'm going to say, in answer to this question, it is a game that is not out yet. It is. I think we're gonna do a spotlight episode on it. Our friend Father Ben, who's been on the show, in our Romance and Games Evolution cast, and then we were over on his Holy Happy Hour Batman stream, is writing a game called Broken. It is about when relationships end. Okay. And one of the mechanics in there is that you grab objects, and as part of the ending of scenes and the breakdown of this relationship, you physically break these objects.
Oh boy.
And like, I had to stop reading it. He'd send me a copy to read ahead of time, like before the Kickstarter that I think they're going to do like later this summer. And I had to stop reading and like take a minute and be like, holy crap, you're onto something. Like the way that the tower creates tension in Dread and in Starcrossed, it has this very visceral feeling of like, this thing is ruined and we cannot put it back together. Yeah. It has this feeling of like sort of the rage and the sadness associated with breaking something, with something falling apart. As you go through the stages of this relationship, and it's like, it involves defining characteristics about the other person of like, this is how I used to see you and this is how I see you now. And it just, I mean, like, it hit me in the gut in a way that, like, I read a lot of games. I read a lot of games. And it's often very hard to sort of grasp what that interaction looks like without playing it or without talking it through with the designer saying like, this was the intention of the thing. Right. That game was a gut punch, especially as somebody who's gone through a divorce, which, which is part of the reason that he sent it to me, to look at, was because like, it's like, I want your opinion as somebody who's been through this. Yeah. So I would say when that comes out on Kickstarter in like July or August, or when we put out our spotlight episode, please listen to that. Like, I'm getting like teary-eyed just talking about it, but it just,
but you got me excited.
Unfortunately, it's one that like, it does require like some physical components, though granted, I think the other person, because I think you each pick a certain number, I'd have to read it again. You could maybe potentially do it in different places. Or, there are a couple different ways to play it, but the idea of just like physically breaking objects and like, destroying something that you can't undo. Just really,
yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think that's my answer. I think my answer is a game that none of you have seen yet, but I promise. Oh boy.
Yeah.
If you love a gut punch,
stay tuned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is what, I mean, I've said lots of times, it's what I love in games. Like, I love when they make you feel things. So, yeah.
Give me all the feels. All right. So I guess we can go on to the next question. This one is another anonymous submission. If you could actually run one game with characters from C3, which one would you want to end up playing and why? There's a decent amount of answers. Yeah,
this is tough. This is tough. Like,
really tough.
Which one of your children do you love more, Amelia?
Seriously.
It depends on the day.
We still haven't, like, I started a spreadsheet, dear listeners, to chronicle all the characters that we and our guests have made for questions and situations just like this.
Yeah.
I got as far as listing all the games that we've covered, and boy, it's been a lot. And a little tip of the iceberg for the amount of characters that we've created, which is technically even more.
Yeah, we've been trying to get better about like getting character sheets from people so that we can do some of that. I've been for a little while I was trying to go back and re-listen and like make notes of what people chose and stuff, but that's a process too of listening and re-listening and re-listening.
Right.
Whew. I think it always like depends on the day of like what game I'm in the mood for too.
It's true. I mean, goodness gracious, the Thirsty Sword Lesbians would be just a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Any of the star-crossed groups that we made way back in Series 3.
Yeah.
I would drop almost everything to play any of those characters.
I'm actually going to say our Masks characters, like having just re-listened to those episodes while I was making a playlist for it.
Those are fantastic. Yeah,
they're just fun and sweet and like I love the choices we made and why we made them.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually really want to play Unbound too because like Unbound, I love the world that we built for that.
It was so much fun. Yeah, goodness. I mean, I'm just looking down the list of games that we've covered on the show, because I have that much at least.
Yeah.
And like a Trash Mob sounds super fun. You know, I'm not like 100% like, oh, this is my favorite character that I've ever made, but the game itself sounds like just a blast to play. Yeah, so we've got multiple answers for this question apparently.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the reality is like we're not joking when we get to the end of the episode and we're like, oh, I wish we could play this. We do feel that strongly every time. I always have a hard time remembering when we get to these questions. It's like, okay, what did I make? I remember that we recorded those episodes and I remembered I liked that game.
Yep.
But like, I can't
remember
what I did or why I did it.
There's a lot that's blurring together at this point.
Yeah.
But like, you know, a lot of them kind of stick out. Like, I mean, also anyone can wear the mask with Jeff Stornett. That would be fantastic to play a whole game of that with what we came up with.
Definitely. I am on record as being a big fan of that one.
Absolutely.
It was my Annie's Judge's pick last year.
That's very true.
Because it was a great game and I wanted the world to know about it.
It was, yeah, absolutely.
And just so unique, like that's another one with like really unique, interesting mechanics. How after this many years of games are people still like doing new things?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the whole evolution of the, the hobby, right?
Right. Well, but it constantly like blows my mind the way people are like, no, this is a game now. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh, we can play that. We can gamify that.
Correct.
Like, yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. All right, cool.
Thank you. May I have another?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that answers that question pretty succinctly.
Yeah, I think we gave a very clear, concise answer to that question, which was like, yes, games. We do enjoy them.
And we've got a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay. This question is from Kevin. If Ryan became a magical girl villain that Necromelia had to defeat, what kind of villain would they be?
Ooh.
And how would you ultimately take them down?
I like this question.
Did I make notes on this?
Gosh.
Oh, I wrote, because I wrote these down as I was reading these questions, because there were some that I was like, this requires a thoughtful answer. So here's my thoughtful answer.
All right, I'm ready for it.
It technically depends on Ryan's powers, but my best guess is it'll be done through the undying bonds of love and friendship.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So how does that translate to a villain? Is it like...
We always defeat villains with love and friendship.
Oh, you would have to defeat me with love and friendship.
Right, because you are a magical girl villain.
Yes.
And I, Necromelia, have to defeat you, which is why I said it was important that these are the undying bonds of friendship.
Oh, you would necro raise the bonds of love and friendship.
Right.
That's creative.
I would take the power of all of the friendships that ever were or ever would be.
Okay, that's I got goosebumps from that. Perfect. So what kind of villain would I be? Yeah. That's the question, right? Right. Okay, so that's a very good answer. I would have to, I don't know.
Ryan can't even like process the idea of being a villain. Kevin, how dare you enter this question?
I'm trying to think, because like the best villain is a villain that thinks they're not the villain, but they're doing villain things. You've been hanging out with
me.
Right?
Ooh, moral gray areas.
Uh-huh. Because like if they think like I'm doing this for the good of the world, you know.
Yeah, I don't think like mustache twirling isn't interesting to me. Like it's not, or at least not for as long.
Yeah. So, I mean, gathering the energy of everybody in a specific city because, you know, I have to feed some like some god that's telling me what to do. I mean, that's kind of a standard trope in the magical girl thing. And I don't think I would be that sort of villain. Yeah, it's, gosh, something dramatic would have to happen for me to just snap and go down this route. But like, I would have to be, let's just reverse what I am. And that would be my magical girl villain, where I would attempt to take away all the joy and whatnot in the world, because I don't know.
Because someone took it away from you first?
Maybe that's it. Or maybe instead of a less selfish reason, like take all the joy in the world so I can redistribute it. But then like, who am I to say who gets what, I guess, or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Ryan can't even process this. He can't even grasp why someone would be a villain.
I cannot. I mean, okay, I can, but I can't. I don't know. All right, we got quite a few more questions to get through.
We do.
This might be a 3-parter at this rate.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. This one might be a pretty fast question. It's from Jude, of course. Is ooze-based mutation a form of blood magic? And if so, are Ninja Turtles lost or Oni?
It is not blood magic.
No, I would say no.
Because it doesn't, no, it's not. Your blood doesn't mutate you. It doesn't.
Right. It mutates the blood. It does not. It's not the blood that is the mutating.
Right. Exactly.
Unless the ooze is blood, which I don't know if it's not. I haven't been too deep into the TMNT lore.
It is not in your veins, though. Like blood starts out in your veins, and you can, taint it with dark magic. But ooze is already outside of you, right? It's an external force that comes in and changes you.
Yep. It's the
whereas in this case, actually, the magic is the thing that's changing the blood, not the blood changes. So no, the answer is no.
There you go.
In which case, I also think that they would be lost, not Oni, because I think that they have been corrupted into being Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
they were not born as Ninja Turtles.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. They were just born as regular turtles.
Right.
And once the ooze got a hold of them, they grew up and
Ninja Turtles. Right. Yep. So like Oni are Oni, lost are corrupted beings. So
there you go.
That is my very academic answer to those questions, Jude. You
I'm
keep trying to fool me, but you can't.
There you go. 2 down. We'll see how many more to go.
All right. Every so often we just pepper one in there just to try and trip me up, and you can't. Kevin, we're going to try and give you a real answer to this one. Which game would you like to be the next one-shot secret bonus one-shot? Oh. So, like, what do we want to put in the secret archive thing?
I think that's what this question's asking.
Yeah. Do we have a list? I know, like, I made like a little folder of like one-page games.
We've got a bunch of one-page games. It's hard to do like the micro
games, just because we have to find one that has a robust enough character creation. Yeah. Which in a one-page game is a little bit tough sometimes.
It is tough. I did just release my own game, a new game to the world. It's a magical beach episode. B-E-E is how you spell beach. Because you play as magical girl bees, and that are actual bees that can transform into actual magical guardian bees.
So they're magical bees.
They're magical bees.
Magical girl bees.
Yeah, magical girl bees. Okay. And you are on vacation, and you you get interrupted by the arch nemesis, and that's the whole story. Plays a lot like Lasers and Feelings.
Okay.
Yeah. But
does it have some character creation in it though?
It has character creation. You get accessories to pick out or roll randomly. And yeah, it's not too bad. I think that would be a fun one to expose the world to.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't make a decision right now. So I guess, Kevin, we can't give you an answer.
We tried.
No, we tried.
We're so close.
No, because I think we want something. It's a really, like, it's a little sweet spot of, short bonus content that we can do character creation for in a pretty quick amount of time, because those bonus episodes are a little shorter. Yep. Not a little shorter, they're way shorter.
Way shorter. What are we in the mood for?
But also enough of a character creation that we feel like it actually creates content, something more than like picking the color of your hat. Like, I'm blue hat guy.
Yeah.
Which is a game I just made up.
Quick stamp and throw it on the itch.
Yeah. All right. It's just a table. You roll to see what color your hat is. That's the whole game.
That's the whole game. Figure out the rest.
Yeah. It's not like, do what you want with it, man. I don't know. It's a supplement. For any game. It's system neutral.
$1.
My God. I'm going to make an itch that's just Amelia makes stupid tables. And it's just going to be like, roll on this table to find out what kind of shoes you have on today. It's low first.
You honestly could make some actual money off of that.
I could.
Believe it or not.
The power. Anyway. So, Kevin, we don't have an answer to your question.
It's fine.
Yeah. No, we don't have a one shot that we want. So is the answer no? Was it a yes or no question?
Yes and no, maybe. I mean, if we're going to, what is it? Probably
no, it's just which game. Which game it is. I thought it was like, is there a game that you want? And the answer would be no. Which game? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
But if you have a fun, like, little one-page short game that you think that we should try out, let us know.
Yeah. Especially if we could get some actual play in there for the bonus, that'd be nice.
Yeah, if we could do another Sims 4 esports.
Exactly. I was trying to give it all my best, and that was the best I could do.
That's great.
That's fine.
4 out of 5 Doctors Millipede recommend.
Exactly.
Sims 4 esports.
T-shirts in your store now. All right, next question. This one is from Anonymous. What is your favorite genre to create characters in, and why? Romance.
Okay.
Because, or at least genres where, or games that have romance as like a
subplot or a
sub-mechanic of sorts. If it's not the main draw of the story, there's like at least a decent amount in there. Because the relationship questions in there are probably going to be pretty great to set up that sort of like dynamic with the other character or characters.
Yeah, I think those are definitely the ones that I come out of our character creations being like, give me
more.
Give me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think more broadly, anything with magic. It, you know, like, because I don't think I need to narrow it down necessarily and be like, you know, it's like a medieval fantasy or like modern magic. Like, I don't, you know, I do not discredit. Can you do magics? Can it be bad magic?
Can it be blood magic?
Yeah. Yeah. I like magic. Because I like the way that it flavors everything. I like the way that it changes your perception of what can and can't be done in a world.
Yep.
You know, which tech does to some degree. But I feel like that is a little more beholden to the laws of physics and reality than magic. So, and I just think there's so many more options for flavoring magic and how you do it and why you do it and what you do with it. So, magic. My favorite genre is magic.
There you go.
But not Magic the Gathering. Though I do enjoy playing Magic the Gathering. I haven't in a long time, but I do enjoy it.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Adjacent.
It is, yeah.
There you go.
I like magic. It's fun.
Yeah. Also, you throw magical girls in the mix, and I'm happy. So,
well, I already said magic, Ryan.
I know. It's fine.
Okay. Is it my question?
It's your question.
What is one piece of advice you would give designers to always do or include in their books, and one thing you would beg them to avoid or stop doing? This is from Daryl.
Yeah, thank you for that question,
yes,
Daryl.
Yes, thank you. I actually have a really quick, easy answer to this for what I would want them to do.
Yes.
If your book is more than like, let's generously say 50 pages, ideally like 25. If your book is longer than that, please give me a quick start page in the front. Just give me a quick rundown of like, you know, you're going to roll these kind of dice. You're going to, you know, like a character does this. You have a class. You have, you know, just like a quick, like 1-page rules guide that I can look at and get the gist of what this system is. I would look to an example like Heart, I think has a really good quick start right in the front. Okay. I'm trying to think. I know there are a couple other ones, but Heart is the one that like pops into my brain quickest. It helps me as somebody reading the book to kind of quickly understand, like, is this a game for me? Yeah. Because there are things that I'm just like, that I don't want to. Like, I don't want 800 skills. I don't want it. Not everything is for everyone. Yes. And I can certainly see a designer listening to this and hesitating and being like, but I want you to read my book before you make a decision. It helps me to kind of know what I'm walking into when I then read the rest of the book to like have a frame of reference of like, okay, I know that we're, you know, this is a D100 roll under kind of system. And that helps me process the rest of the information in the book through that lens. So I just think it makes it a lot more accessible for people too. And for new players learning the game, for me to be able to quickly say, okay, like turn to page 25. Here's a quick rough guide of what this is going to look like. Yeah,
I know Symbaroum has a quick start like of the mechanics of how to play the game and like how initiative works and like how you roll your stats and it's like this little 2-page thing that you can just go right to and not only as beginners but like as a reference, like what goes first, who wins this tie, you know, that sort of thing, which is really great. More games do need to have that. That's for sure. Yeah.
When I roll a skill check, which things am I looking at? You know, you know, it's like you're going to take one thing from this category, one thing from this category. And am I adding them up? Am I taking the highest die? Am I just, you know, real simple stuff. I know it's probably very hard to choose what things go on there, but do remember that you did put it in the book so I can find it somewhere if I need it. But
absolutely.
It's, absolutely hands down makes the process of reading the rest of the book a million times easier for me.
Yes, 100%. My answer for always include, no matter the size of the game, safety tools, at the very least, the mention of safety tools and where to find tools. If not, you know, full blown, this is a safety tool I recommend for this game. Here's why, here's how you use it. Here's the situations you'd use it in.
Yeah, a lot of books that I'm reading now have that.
Yeah.
They have like, I would say the vast majority of the ones that I've read for Annie's this year.
Yeah.
That, you know, like other than like the zines, and even some of those still have it. And the majority of them, you know, link to like the RPG safety toolkit or the X card or something like that. A lot of them don't have like a full rundown of everything because I think I personally am okay with that because I think that choosing the right safety tool for your table is just as important as choosing the right game for your table.
Exactly.
I know it does like add an extra step of like, okay, now I have to go to this link and find this thing. But I will say that is definitely a trend in the right direction that I'm seeing a lot more of.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, definitely more safety at tables can't hurt at all.
Index.
So,
please put an index in the back of your book.
Would be nice. And if you're doing a PDF, please
bookmark the crap out of that puppy.
Bookmarked. If you could, that would be so helpful.
No, just do it. Not if you could. I mean, I know it is a process.
Yeah.
It is. I know it's time consuming and annoying, for sure. But it's not hard.
Right.
Like it doesn't require like special software or anything like that. You know, you can. You just need the knowledge of how to do it. Right. And that'll take a little bit of Googling, and finding the answer. And I'm sure it's pretty widely available on how to do things like that. Yeah. Definitely makes it easier. Yeah, absolutely. Things to not include. I mean, aside from the standards of like, you know. Yeah, aside from the gross colonialism stuff. And racism and, you
know. Right. What, for at least mechanics wise, maybe, what would you beg designers to stop including in their books? I don't know, because I feel like there's definitely stuff in there that like I am like annoyed by. Like I still have like this nagging annoyance of what is a role-playing game? But I understand why it's in there because, you know, the number of people we've had on our show that are like, I picked up this D&D book and I didn't know what it was. So like, I get it. There are people out there that like stumble on these books and are like, huh? So that's fine. I can just skip that section. Yeah. You know, I think that's how I feel about most of the stuff that I'm like, why is this in here? It's like, oh, just skip it. Yeah. I would say it's less of a trend nowadays, but, any designers thinking of where the game master is the rule of the land and everything stops at them, and you know they're the giving them that power dynamic. Yeah, that's gross. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't tell them they're all powerful. They're not. Right. Yeah. Maybe treat them as, you know, players in the game as well. And, it's you know, just a different role. It goes both ways, right? You know, like I'm playing the sorcerer and you're playing the paladin and you're playing the DM. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you need to have a healthy balance between everybody, and, you know, forcing that as part of the dynamic is kind of gross. Yeah. So I would say avoid doing that. Yep. There you go. All right. Next question. This is from Derek D. Derek asked, let's see, what is the worst book or movie that has provided you game and or character ideas? Huh. Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm just like trying to think of like even like a bad book or movie. Like, I don't know why this is really hard for me right now, because I'm sure I've seen lots of. Oh, yeah, 100%. And then like, when did I translate that into a character? Because I'm sure that I have. This is a really hard question. I'm sure I've probably used something for like dirge in the back of my brain. Right. But like, where would that have come from? Right. I mean, I just leaned into the Western tropes. And there's probably a lot of bad Western movies. I haven't like fully seen a Western movie. Like ever? Personally, like ever, like from front to finish, from start to finish. Are you serious? I mean, aside from like maybe like Tombstone or The Magnificent Seven, Like more of the modern ones, I guess. If you could call, what's that one that was really bad with the spider robot? I think it was Will Smith.
Oh, Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
See, I just like when you say like Westerns, I think like the classic, like John Wayne.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm thinking. The classic Westerns I have not seen anything of because it never really interested me. I know there's a lot going on in that sentence. There's
a lot to unpack there. Sorry, you're talking to someone whose grandparent had a John Wayne room in their house.
Right.
Like he had an entire room devoted to John Wayne. And his collection of John Wayne movies.
Oh, wow.
And my grandpa was like a huge fan of Westerns. So like that's how I grew up is like, you know, I mean, granted, my mom's family's from Texas and, you know, so.
That makes sense.
It's not like really like the classic like Midwestern.
No.
You know, gunslingers.
Yep.
That's for deer hunting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, Derek. I don't think I have a really good answer for this question. I'm sure that there are, I think in a lot of cases, it's more like broad tropes from things as opposed to like specific characters or something like that. I think there have been plenty of times where we've probably talked about it even like, you know, random traits or something that we've pulled from somewhere, but I can't.
Yeah. And it's very subjective too. Like I have most certainly pulled character ideas from the Wheel of Time, and whether or not that series is quote unquote the worst, or whatever is very subjective. I personally love it. I know it's problematic in a lot of places, but I did create a character from that I based off of the main character of those books because I love those books. And back then I needed a character and I was like, I'll base it off of this person from the books because why not?
I mean, my goodness, if we're going to talk about that, then like we've covered L5R on the show and I have read L5R books and they are problematic. Like I have read the novels. Like
there you go.
So.
And have you created any characters in L5R that had any sort of like inspiration from any of those? Like, there you go.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we found it.
We did it. We got there, Derek. We got there.
Exactly. All right.
Okay. The next question also does not have a name. It's anonymous. If Ryan and Amelia were adventurers or explorers, what would be your classes, equipment, and pets/familiars/crew?
Oh, fun.
Okay, so I think the first thing we need to establish here in this scenario is what kind of adventure exploration are we doing? Are we talking like Indiana Jones? Are we talking like standard D&D group?
Like
where do you want to go?
Like I would say, because it very much sounds like this is coming from a D&D space, right?
Yeah.
Because you're using terms like classes,
right?
And familiars, that sort of stuff. So maybe that sort of thing. But I would say we could get a little creative with it. You know, if you want to pull from different genres, that's fine. Honestly, I'm all for genre blending. So.
Okay, so let's just for the sake of like answering this question at some point, let's say we're talking classic fantasy adventure.
Yeah.
What would your class be?
See, most people would probably say paladin, just because, you know, goody do-gooder of goodness, right?
Right, for sure.
I don't think it would be paladin though.
No.
Because you're beholden to the whims of your deity.
Yes.
And whether or not they ask you to do, you know, something against your moral code is not up to you.
Right.
So you might be doing things, you know, like taking a life, for instance. I don't have any interest in doing that, obviously. But you know, a deity that a paladin worships and serves, they might be asked to do that even if they are a pacifist.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So maybe bard, but some kind of magic user would be fun too. I guess with the right patron, maybe a warlock, depending on what the deal is.
But see, then you're in the same boat that you would be with a paladin.
Depending on the deal, though. With the paladin, it's like I devote everything to you, and I'm gonna fight injustice in your name.
Right, but you would hope that if you're gonna make that kind of devotion, it would be like worthwhile.
Right. Warlock is like, okay, I need power for X, and I have to do Y.
And in return, you get,
In return. Yeah. And so if the right deal is struck, I would be perfectly fine with getting some sort of like, magical guardian powers and transformation in order to do something for a very good patron.
Yeah.
Right?
I still don't understand why bards are magic.
I mean, right.
I don't get it.
Ever since Dylan brought that up.
It's always bothered me. It's like, why? It's like, I studied for forever. I made a deal with the devil. I play guitar. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's making music into magic is very similar to making hand gestures and words into magic. You're just manipulating the ambient magics in a slightly different way.
Right. But then, like, why is that a whole different class?
Exactly. Because you can also use a sword, and you can also sneak a little bit, and you can also steal a little bit, and you can also be the face of the party a little bit.
So the bard is, I didn't want to make a decision.
It's your character, charismatic, jack of all trades wizard.
Yeah.
Hot takes. Yeah, I would say warlock if I can get a good deal out of it.
All right. I think I would be a wizard.
Yeah.
I think I don't see myself as like, I don't think highly enough of myself to think that I have like some sort of like innate power within me to like be a sorcerer. Right. I don't think that, but I am also a big old nerd. So I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable being the kind of person that like, whoops, found a scroll.
Yep.
I'm cool with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would absolutely have a magical companion.
Yeah.
Like 100%. If I could have like a pet that I could literally talk to.
For sure.
And have conversations with, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I would love to do that in real life right now. To be like, Peggy, why are you barking out of nowhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's definitely doing that right now.
Yeah.
I think she was upset because she thought I was going to say something else for my familiar, but it would be a golden doodle. And
yeah. And I would have
this is my emotional support familiar.
Right. Exactly. And I would have an adorable kitty.
Nate asked me the other day if he could have an emotional support Pokemon. And I was like, I assume that's what all Pokemon are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why else would you have them?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do you think you can get allergic to familiars? Like to other people's familiars?
Oh,
I would hope because they're magical,
definitely.
like you can't, right?
Unless they magically don't have dander. If that's a property of familiars, I guess.
I mean, that would be cool, right? Like, why? I mean,
that would be cool.
I don't know. If you can make your pet talk, why can't you also make it hypoallergenic?
Right. Well, in some systems, a familiar is actually a fae turned into the form of your familiar. So it's not even, it's like
shed.
Right. It's like a magical being in the form of kitty or puppy. Right.
Yeah.
So maybe. Do fae shed? I have no idea.
I don't know. If they do, I doubt I'm allergic to it. So.
Are fairy realms dusty? If so, then yes.
I mean, there is fairy dust.
Oh, we just unlocked
we got
it.
There.
Oh, that allergy dander is all over the place with the fae.
Yep.
It's just magical. It'll make you sneeze and make you fly.
Yeah. Any equipment you'd pick?
Cool outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like some like super dope robes. Like that's like the sense of, like really my equipment choices are like how cool do I look?
Right. Practical stuff.
Because I can like do magic, so the rest of it is how cool do I look?
Yeah, no, I would have like magical items that do things like like a flashlight that never runs out of magical flashlight ability. But basically just an object that glows forever. Utility things like that, a rope that lets you climb itself. like, or like you just hold on and it pulls you up so I don't have to climb the rope. You know,
I think I would have
a
bag of like very specific one-time use items that like the majority of the time are useless, but that one time you need it. Oh boy.
Yeah. And a bag of holding for all of this, because like just being able to store everything, like you said, the whole like, what do I get rid of?
Yeah, because as we discussed, I am not about
just
encumbrance
shove
rules.
it in the bag of holding, and you're good as long as you don't shove a dimensional portal in there and blow up everybody around you. You're fine.
Yeah.
Or another bag of holding. There you go. I think that answers that one.
I think so.
Yeah. So that was a lot of really good questions. Thank you.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about them.
We did talk a lot. Honestly, I think there was a lot of good conversation to be had here. I hope some people have gotten something out of what we've done. Like, we want to not only answer your questions so you know a bit more about us, we also want to have a little bit of advice thrown in there. We want to have something to take away. We want this to be more than just a, hey, hear about Amelia and Ryan.
Yes.
Hour or two, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, we had fun. I really appreciate some of these. I appreciate the fun questions. I appreciate questions from anyone who wasn't named Jude.
Yep. Even the ones from Jude were pretty good answers.
I mean, I had great answers to them. They were terrible questions.
I agree.
No, I really appreciate the fact that we got some really thoughtful, interesting questions. There are definitely some in there that we had to really think about. So I'm looking forward to answering more of these next time. Absolutely.
So we'll be recording the next batch sometime soon. But you know what? We'll have the content out there at some point. You'll get there 2 episodes, 3 episodes, maybe even 4 episodes. Who knows? Who can say?
Who can say? Not us, certainly.
Not us. I'm not turning the form off. So if it happens that there's still more questions pouring in, maybe we'll save them. Maybe we'll answer them. Who knows?
Only we do, and we don't.
And we don't. Exactly.
So thank you for listening. Thank you for submitting your questions. If we didn't get to them this episode, we will get to them at some point. We're going to keep working our way through. We just don't want to put out a 6-hour episode. So you don't want to listen to a 6-hour episode, honestly.
No, exactly.
But thank you, everyone, for submitting them. Thank you for listening for the last 4 years. It has been great. We could not do this without you.
Absolutely. Spread the word and leave those questions if you have more. And keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you will find other great shows like One Shot.
The most fun way to learn about new games is to play. On One Shot, you can discover the amazing variety in RPGs by listening to actual play. Every week, James D'Amato brings you a new episode with a talented cast of improvisers, game designers, and other notable nerds. At least once a month, One Shot features a new system exploring a wide variety of genres. The stories are self-contained, so you can jump in anywhere, and it's a great way to find your new favorite game. Discover the magic of RPGs with One Shot in your favorite podcast app.